start? Why does it have to be all or nothing all the time?
Like, what am I doing? I'm doing it for the show. Field of 68 till I die.
This is the Field of 68 After Dark show, the only place that you need to be for college hoops every single night.
And with that, welcome on into the Field of 68 After Dark, powered by Bet Rivers, coming to you on Sirius XM Channel 84. Meghan McKeown, Terrence Oglesby, John Henson joining you tonight. And gentlemen, yet another wild Tuesday night of college hoops. We're going to start it in the Big 12, arguably the best conference right now in the country, in a top 10 matchup. 7th-ranked Kansas State taking on 8th-ranked Kansas. These two teams played 2 weeks ago. Kansas State came out on top by 1 in overtime. This time around, a different story. Kansas comes away with a 90-78 win. Tio, let's start with you. What was the biggest difference in this game?
Well, Kansas's three-point shooting in the first half, where they had 9, and whenever they're moving the ball and everything's popping and they're knocking down shots and different guys, DeJuan Harris, I've been singing his praises all year. I think he's one of the most underrated pure point guards in the country. I feel like I've said that. I'm on repeat. That's okay. He's that good. I like him a lot. But you can't get down 10 points at Fog Allen. No. You're not going to win, because that is the most difficult place in the country to play. I said it. That's the one. Everybody can argue with me. The amp, the dunk, doesn't matter. Cameron Indoor, nope. Carolina, nope. Kansas. That is the toughest place to play in all of college basketball. I know TCU won here recently, but you cannot get down 10 to 15 points against Kansas at their place. It's insanely difficult. And when DeJuan Harris is hitting shots, I don't know how you guard KU.
I agree. They had McCullough and DeJuan Harris. They play. If those guys can score in double digits, Kansas is going to be hard to beat. Grady Dick played well. Didn't have a great game shooting wise, but if they can get help from other guys, as we said, Kansas is a really good team. And tonight they handled a kind of upstart Kansas State team pretty easily. I mean, at Kansas State, I don't know why. I thought Kansas State may have a chance, but when I really look back at it, at Kansas State, down the stretch, it was a one possession game. Self calls that timeout for them to go up 40 hits to 3. So Kansas was ready for him, and Bill Self's going to figure it out. He's not going to keep losing very long, and tonight was kind of an example of that.
Yeah, you can't bet against Bill Self, that is.
No.
It's interesting too. I thought Kansas from the tip just came out and just kept their foot on the gas pedal. Put up 49 points in the first half. Jalen Wilson had 16 in the first half. Defensively, the rotations were crisp. They were challenged at the rim. Overall, getting it done on both sides of the ball. Tio, how important is it? Has Kansas learned from losing 3 of its last 4 that they have to get off to a good start in order to be successful?
Yeah, that's obviously what you want every game, right? But I want to say too, I look at their schedule. That loss at Kansas State, at Manhappy, as Jerome Tang likes to call it, like I think that lost them 2. That lost them 2 games because it was such an emotional expenditure game. They lose close. They think they're supposed to win. Ismail Massoud's out of bounds when he throws it in. There's a lot going on. And then you play a TCU team at home who is speed on speed. So if you're doubting yourself at all, you better turn it around in a hurry. And then just because it's the Big 12, you have to play Baylor 2 days later. So you look at those 3 games in a row, it's brutal. And I think
they're not bad losses.
Not a single bad loss. No. That's the crazy part. And I think I was with you in Psycho T last week, and I was like, hey, if you're going to buy low, right now is the time to buy Kansas, because they need this week off, and they're going to show up at Kentucky refreshed. They're going to have a day off. Bill Self might even let them take a nap. Who knows? And they're going to show up at Kentucky, and they're going to play really well, really refreshed. And now back at Fog Allen, obviously, it's a snowball effect. And when do you not want to play well? Or if you're going to, it's ebbs and flows in the college basketball season. The best time to kind of re-gear things is at the end of January, so you can start coasting towards conference tournament time.
I mean, I agree. I mean, Till, you played, right? You dropped 3 games in a row. You're sitting up a little more in that chair. You're listening a little harder to coach. You're playing, you're practicing a little harder. So I think that's what happened to Kansas. This might go down maybe as a defining stretch for them to kind of teach them a lesson. Hey, look, you can be beat on any day. The Big 12 is on any given night. And ever since kind of went on that losing streak, they've been playing with a different little edge, kind of like they got a little chip on their shoulder. So I like this Kansas team that we're seeing right now.
want to take a second and flip it over to the Kansas State side, who had 13 turnovers. Kansas was able to capitalize off it with 21 points off the turnovers. What did this game say to you about Kansas State, John?
They're here. I mean, going into Fog Island, they just played them a couple weeks ago. Tough loss. Playing the Big 12, towards the top of the Big 12. They're here to stay. They're going to be competitive, and it's going to be fun down the stretch to see if they can sustain and handle that prosperity of them being a team with a target on their back. Because I mean, in the Big 12, I mean, the Texas Tech game was crazy. I turned it off, and I kind of look back on and they're storming the court. So it could be any given night, but I think this Kansas State team has shown enough for us to say, hey, look, we're going to be seeing them towards the end. I think the Big 12 Conference Championship is going to be a lot of fun.
You look at a couple things too. I mean, they tied in the second half. Both teams scored 41 in the second half, so not a whole lot of defense for either party. I think that's a big thing. Rebounding wise, they only down 2 at Kansas's place, and you're always going to get a foul here or there that make you scratch your head a little bit when you play at Fog Island. And they were still able to compete, at least regroup and compete for the full 40 minutes after being down 12 at halftime. It's a team with definite talent. Keontae Johnson has been as good as advertised, and quite frankly, guys, he's been better. Marcus Noel had an off shooting night, 5 of 18. How often is he going to do that? I don't foresee that happening all that often. He didn't play well in the first game against Kansas, largely due to DeJuan Harris being the best defensive point guard in college basketball. But it's one of those things. I don't think that those struggles are going to continue a lot because of how hard they play. They continue to compete the entire 40 minutes. And that second half told me something. Right? Like they can still score with Kansas, who can really score. So it's going to continue. Don't be surprised you see these guys in the Big 12 finals.
Right.
It's crazy because you could say that about so many different teams.
I know.
In the Big 12 this season. I mean, we're going to get into it a little more here, but just to give you some perspective, as you mentioned or alluded to earlier, Tio, next 2 games for Kansas, they're at Iowa State, then home against Texas. So nothing is ever easy by any means. Let's switch gears here and moving on to our next Big 12 matchup. TCU is going to pull away here against West Virginia. At TCU, another team that at times has caught fire. These two teams met 2 weeks ago. TCU lost to West Virginia. They had 19 turnovers in that game. What was the biggest difference, though, in this game, which, by the way, the Horned Frogs without leading scorer Mike Miles?
I just think TCU kind of came together. They kind of, West Virginia, as I've watched them lately, if you can withstand their little, push they get on you early, you can kind of play well against them. And TCU did that. West Virginia came at them a little hard earlier. They're missing their best player, which I thought would be, more of an effect on them than it was. But they're coming together. They were shooting the ball well, playing together, playing with speed. They're fun. They're one of the more fun teams. I like watching them. They're fun to play with the passing and moving the ball, and they got good size down there. So they were just locked in tonight. And TCU is another one of those Big 12 teams. Like we kind of got down on them, but I think they're going to kind of bounce back. And this was a good win for them. West Virginia's a really good team. I was listening on the TV. They're saying that West Virginia's still in the field, and they're going to be 2-7 or something, which is wild. But that's kind of the Big 12. That's kind of what we're dealing with in the Big 12 this year.
I don't understand why anybody's in the field or anybody's out of the field. I'm entirely too dumb to figure this out. And I'm trying to find out what the net is, what the net even stands for. I think it's not an evaluation tool is what it should be. It's horrible. It's been predicting. It's a predictive measure. It mirrors KenPom. It's very close to KenPom as far as all the rankings are concerned. And I hate it. Why? Because a lot of teams will win games, i.e. my Tigers, but I'll digress. It's one of these things like I wonder what's going to put teams in and what's not going to put teams in. You're 2-7 in league after this game and you're still projected in the field. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? So that makes it confusing. But to go back to your question, because I tend to get off on tangents, Megan, and I apologize. But you alluded to it. I think the turnovers, TCU last season struggled with turnovers. This year, they have been very obviously better in that department. And today was no different. Now, if West Virginia is going to compete, and they will compete because Bob Huggins is going to have those guys playing really hard. He likes this team. They compete at a high level, but they need Eric Stevenson to shoot the ball well. He's got to be a floor spacer for them. They have to have another guy on the perimeter that can score. When he's not scoring, it's going to be really tough. He was 6 of 17 today. I love the aggressiveness. I'm kind of mad he didn't get to 20 shots, but you got to hit a little bit, but you got to hit a few more of them. But really, it comes down to what you said, Megan. 20 assists to only 7 turnovers. That's where TCU, if they're that efficient and that economical with the basketball, they're hard to guard because they play so fast, and it is speed on speed from the jump. But the turnovers is what can get them in the end.
It's interesting too. I mentioned this at the beginning, not having Mike Miles, who's the second leading scorer in the Big 12 at 18 a game. Did that impress you even more with TCU, the fact that they were still able to come out and perform the way they did, take care of the ball the way they did, John?
Yeah, it was very impressive because I was kind of down on them. I was like, it's going to be tough for them, but they held it together. And I think that's also maybe an indictment on West Virginia. Oh, they're missing the best player, kind of relaxed a little bit. And TCU didn't skip a beat tonight. They didn't turn over. They played well. They passed the ball well. They played speed. They played fast. It was a fun game to watch. And I think West Virginia kind of hit a little buzzsaw. TCU looked like they were going to roll tonight, whoever was in that gym at home.
The Ewing effect, right?
The Ewing effect.
The Ewing effect. Like you're missing your best player. The other guys step up. It's not sustainable. They need Mike Miles to compete at the top of that league. They have to have him. But over a 1 or 2 game sample size, like TCU can continue to play well. They can continue to sneak some off. But it is impressive. I mean, what is it? Xavier Cork went 6 for. What is it? It's not Xavier Cork. Is it Xavier Cork?
Yeah, he went for 6 for 6.
Yeah, Xavier Cork went 6 for 6. They have different guys that stepped up and played good minutes. I'm not surprised at all. They have talent. The talent is there on that roster. But for them to compete for a Big 12 championship, which is likely possible, as balanced as that league is, Mike Miles is that difference maker from a talent perspective and somebody who can consistently create shots for himself, no matter who they play against. So for them to reach their ceiling, he has to be a part of that mix. But it's always good when somebody doesn't play, other guys step up, other guys get a couple of more reps, and then that can carry some confidence over when he does come back.
I want to tell you the top 4 in the standings right now in the Big 12 right now. Texas is first, Kansas, Iowa State, Kansas State, TCU's 5th. Is Texas the best team in the Big 12, Tio?
Ooh. By the numbers, I guess. I don't think they are personally, but one thing I think you get from Texas is a consistent performance. You're going to have to beat them. They're not going to lay an egg. They're going to play defense. They can adapt to any speed of the game. They can play fast. They can slow it down. So I think they're built the best in that league. However, I think down the stretch, teams have a higher ceiling than them. But right now, I would call Texas the best. But I do like Kansas, even Kansas State. Those are 2 teams I kind of look at as higher ceiling teams that if they can kind of play at their highest level, I think they're better than Texas.
Next 2 games at Kansas State, at Kansas. If they win those games, throw it on them. Celebrate at the Moody. Throw it on them. They're the best team in the Big 12. It's going to be hard. I mean, if I had to pick the top 2 teams, it would probably be Kansas State and Kansas at this point in the season. But guys, the Big 12 is so loaded. Like, you can't drop one. And I had this conversation today with a radio station out of Waco, Texas. It's like, what record wins the Big 12 this year? 12-6, 13-5.
Something like that for sure.
It's something like that. So it's who's going to be the most consistent is really going to win the regular season title. I feel like Kansas is going to be able to do that. And this little 3-game losing streak they went on, I don't see it happening again.
At the end of the day, too, Kansas understands how to win. The way they started out this season, the competition that they played with to prepare for conference play. To me, Kansas is the best team in the Big 12. But as we know, a lot can happen in the month of February. Things are going to come down to the wire here. And like you said, the fact that a team can go 12-6 and win the Big 12 this year is freaking unbelievable when you look at other Power 5 conferences.
It is. And you wonder if at the end of the year, when they get the seeding in the tournament, are these Big 12 teams going to be burnt out? I mean, you got West Virginia coming in the house. Then you might have to go to Texas. Then you might have to play Baylor. Then you might have to go up to Kansas. Then you got Texas Tech coming home. Like, I don't know. Can the Big 12 mentally sustain that pace? And at the end of the season, are they going to be able to kind of move forward, man? They're beating each other up. And every game is, like an emotional, tough game. And so it's going to be interesting to see what this effect has on the tournament. Because they're going to have a lot of teams in there. I wonder what they're going to do.
It's an emotional roller coaster. Emotional roller coaster, no matter who you play. I think, the difference between like people like to say, the Big Ten over the past couple of years, people are like, well, they're beating up on each other, and then they get to the tournament, they stink. Nah, it's not necessarily so. All the Big Ten teams play similarly in style, except now Illinois is playing different, Penn State's playing different. There's a couple of teams playing different. The Big 12 is not like that. Every team plays different. I mean, TCU's flying, Texas Tech guarding, lockdown, half court, Iowa State, excellent defensively and just try to overwhelm you. Kansas, now they're spacing you out and they're attacking you with speed. Like there's constant adjustments with the Big 12. I think that's the biggest difference between the Big 10 and the Big 12 over the past few years, where we've said, the Big 10 is just beating up on each other. I don't buy that. I buy the Big 12 simply because you're still having to adjust for styles on every given night, and every style is towards the best of that particular style. Does that make sense? I said the word style way too much.
You said the word style. You must be a Taylor Swift fan that we don't know about. But that being said, we're going to talk about the Big Ten. We're going to talk about the ACC. We got a lot more coming up here on Field of 68 After Dark. We'll be right back.
You're clear.
Me and Taylor Swift, both horse people.
There we
go. Horse people.
Love horses.
Wow, I did not know that about Taylor Swift, and I'm a very big fan, like a Swiftie. And I know that
Dagan, is that what they call it, Taylor Swift, the Swifties? That's what they call it, Taylor
Swifties. Yeah, no, it's a thing. So I mean, I've seen her 9 times in concert. So
this is perfect. Hold on, this is perfect segue right here. Talking about the Swifties.
Yeah,
not talking about Providence.
So yeah, we could talk.
Well, we are talking about Providence there, Mr. T.O., because I'm asking a question about Providence. Xavier Providence tomorrow night, no Zach Freemantle. We're going to get into that later in the show. Who do you like? That's from our buddy Ken Palm is a fraud in the YouTube chat.
Ken Palm is a fraud.
Theo, is that you?
No, Ken Palm is a fraud. He jumped ship on me. I thought we were boys. Like he's completely gone the other direction.
Oh no!
Like I thought me and Providence guy. No, I'm talking about the net and how disappointed I am with this measuring system. How you can be 10-2 in the ACC and be a bubble team. That makes a whole bunch of sense. Like, come on, guys, what are we doing? Ken Palm is a fraud.
30 seconds.
I'm picking Xavier. Just because I'm salty.
Oh, is that it? Okay, moving on. Well, we can do it.
Nobody else is picking one?
Nobody else is picking one? That's for everybody.
Here I am throwing the oop. Oh.
I'm going to go.
10 seconds.
No Freemantle is kind of tough. He's kind of the rock down there for them. So if we, I guess if I had to take one.
Here we go.
Queuing with you. Gentlemen, we turn our attention towards the ACC, starting with Wake Forest, Duke. Blue Devils win it 75-73, mostly because Wake Forest went on a 7-0 run to close out the game. This was another rematch. Wake Forest beat Duke back in December. But in this game, hi, Jeremy Roach. Welcome to the party. He only had 9 points in that first meeting. He had 17 points in the first half, finished with 21. T.O., what was Jeremy Roach doing exactly?
Being what we thought he could be. A playmaker with a ball, a guy that could be an X factor for that team. They've got a bunch of guys too, like around them. Like who is their explosive guy? Kyle Filipowski is really good at 7 foot, but is he really that explosive playmaker? No, Jeremy Roach is that guy. They have some other guys that can do some things. Mark Mitchell is good in spurts, especially when you put him in spots where he's defending and attacking the rim at a high level. They've got a bunch of pieces, but Jeremy Roach, he ultimately determines how far this Duke team can go. And when he's like he was tonight, and I think he took the matchup against Tyree Appleby personally, because Tyree Appleby's a really good player and he ended up with 27. But like your team ends up winning, you still perform well. You're a more efficient player on a given night. Like I think he was making a statement as to who is one of the best point guards in this league. I feel like I can compete every night. And Jeremy Roach showed why we've considered him to be this coming up into this part of the season. He just hasn't been healthy. So the better he is, the better Duke is. I think that's pretty obvious to see.
I loved how Roach played today. I thought today was one of Duke's more complete wins. They looked like a really good team. When there was runs or Wake Forest was pressing, they sustained. They made big plays. Filipowski, the more and more I watch him, I just love his game. He's a steadying force for them. Mitchell, I think, is a perfect glue guy. He does all the little things. He rebounds. He plays hard. He defends. And then if you get some extra offensive production from him, you're in business. Proctor hit some timely shots today. So this is the kind of Duke team that we kind of talked about, I guess, in the early season that we could potentially see, even though Whitehead is injured. Even Lively, man, he had a lot of blocks. He's protecting the rim. So if they can kind of keep playing like this, Duke is going to be a force to reckon with. Wake Forest is not a bad team by any stretch of imagination, and they kept coming. And Duke sustained, and they look really good tonight. So hopefully they're turning the corner.
Jeremy
Hopefully.
Hopefully, I don't know. Listen, Saturday, big day though. Saturday, got a day with destiny.
How are you feeling about that? You look like you're breathing a little harder when you're saying that.
That really that looked like it took you for a loop right there. Like that was a forced.
It's at Duke. Going Tar Heels all the way, man.
Of course you are. You
All
would
the
be
way.
in trouble if you didn't. But I'm still going to make you talk about Duke here for a little bit, as much as it might be. We look at a player like Jeremy Roach, who's a veteran on this team, who has played ACC for multiple years at this point, and has the ability to calm his team down. And you can see when he's playing really well, everyone else seems to kind of take a breath and then get into the positions they need to get into. How much of this is they're just finally starting to click with him, and how much of this is, like maybe he doesn't necessarily have to do this every game for them to be successful, Tio?
Well, when he was injured and kind of banged up, they were like kind of giving the ball to Filipowski and telling him to go get a bucket, and he's not necessarily that guy for them. So having Roach being able to offensively to take the load off, and he be a second fiddle guy or a secondary offensive guy within that offense, he looked so much better today. He was so much looser. So they need Roach to go where they're going to go, and if he plays like he played tonight, Duke is going to be right there at the end, kind of competing for the ACC championship. The bubble team, the 10-2 bubble team. That's they're going to be right there with those guys.
First of all, whoever's asking this question in the chat, who's the best team in the ACC, Duke, UNC, Miami, or not Clemson? Not funny. Like, not funny. I'm not sure who's controlling
you take that. Personally? Yeah.
I take it personally. No, I'm just kidding. You know what? Here's the cool thing about it is now that Jeremy Roach is back and he took over in the first half, now Tyrese Proctor, who's young, guys, like he's 17 years old. Like he should be a senior in high school. He reclassed up. He gets comfortable. So what happens in the first half? He doesn't do much. What does he do in the second half? Goes 3 for 5, has 10 points. And because the defense is so focused on Jeremy Roach, other guys can get comfortable. The only thing that worries me about this game is Wake Forest went on a 7-0 run to close it, and they made 6 out of their last 8 field goals. Who's your closer? How are you going to finish out these games? I know it was close, but at the same time, like you have to find ways to finish it out convincingly so you don't give poor John Shire a heart attack, because there's been times this season where he's looking like it. Do
you think he's gotten more gray this season? He's had to have, right?
Man, hey, John, I don't know if you've seen this, but I saw at his press conference after NC State, I thought my man needed a nap. Like I was worried. Like his eyes were bulging. Like I was like, somebody check my man's blood pressure. And like it's stressful, man. He's in a new spot that he's never been in, that he's never even really, let's call it what it is. He's like, Coach K didn't let him coach as a head coach at all. He was Coach K's assistant last year, and he had to coach a second half when Coach K ate some bad wings or something. Like that was the only time. That was the only time that Shire got to actually coach the team and it really be his. This year he's taking ownership, and guys, that's a lot. It's a lot to slide one seat down. You saw the first 3 quarters of North Carolina season last year. It takes time.
In that program, yeah. When you follow up a legend, yeah,
of course. He's tough. You're going into one of the premier, if not the premier program, and in the ACC. So it's just a whole different set of pressures, whole different. Like you said, him running a team is Coach K was always running. Now him running the team, it's a lot. And like you said, the press conference, he looked a little flustered. Even on the sideline, sometimes you can sit over there like, "Whoo, all right, well, I'm here now. Like, let's do this thing." So he's learning. I don't think we talk about it enough. He's literally learning on the fly at a program that they don't expect to lose many games. So taking in all that, I think he's doing well, and he's only going to get better, man. So, I'm not a Duke guy, but I think Shire will be fine. Just not anytime soon,
Before you say something nice about Duke, do you have to preface it by saying, I'm not a Duke guy? Like, is that
not a Duke guy? It's just like a habit. My sister went to Duke. She played, so like I'm Duke women's basketball all day, but Duke men's basketball, yeah. You got to say like, hey, with all due respect, don't mean to disrespect. That's how you got to compliment them.
Well, hey, I'll make you stop talking about Duke basketball real quick because I do want to switch to the Wake Forest side. And the Demon Deacs, as of late, have now lost 4 straight. Tio, what do they need to do in February in order to at least try to make a run at getting a bid? Can they?
I feel like they can. They still have a lot of punch, like on the offensive side of the ball. They're the second-ranked offense in that league. And say what you want about the ACC. Number 2 in the league in offense is significant. However, they better guard because defensively over the last 4 games, it just hasn't been it. Of course, you look at it. Virginia at Pitt, surprising team, by the way. NC State, who has several guards that can score on a given night. Terquavius Smith, Jarkel Joyner, those guys can go nuts. And then a Duke team at Cameron Indoor, it's tough. Now, they're at Notre Dame. That could kind of get some things back on the right track, at least if they play well. But it's going to come down to these guys have to guard. They're giving up 54% from the field. It's too much. You have to guard at a higher rate. You have to put more emphasis on that side of the floor. Do they really have a rim protector? Matthew Marsh is playing a lot of minutes. He's not the highest jumping dude. He is big, but they don't really have this alpha rim protector down on the defensive end that can cover up a lot of mistakes that some of these guys are making out on the perimeter.
Hey, by the way, Tio, the chat, we're going to give the people what they want. And the people, they want to talk about Clemson. And about, things didn't go so well for your Tigers tonight. Boston College wins it 62-54. Now, no Brevin Galloway for Clemson, keep in mind, after
he busted a nut in all the wrong ways.
Worst injury ever, perhaps?
Yeah. I jumped on the Clemson Tiger bandwagon today. I jumped on it. And I said, you know what? These guys are for real. And look how they do me, T.O. So I need to hear what you think about these guys, man.
Hey, man, look, it's a hard place to play up there in Chestnut Hill. You got to play in front of like 30 Goodmans. Like, it's impossible. Like, it's just negative vibes the whole way in there. So, like, let's just call that what it is. There's only 50 people in the audience at Boston College, but 30 of them are Goodmans. So, like, let's keep that in mind. That means you can hear Goodman the entire time while you're playing. It's a big distraction. No, it's a Clemson team that when they don't shoot the ball well, they stink.
Mm-hmm.
They have to shoot the ball well. If they don't shoot the ball well, they stink. And tonight, guys, they were, what were they? 6 of 21. That's really hard.
They finished the game 2 of 19.
They got a lot of good looks too.
They finished the last 19 shots. They were 2 of 19.
So how much of this
is that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying? I didn't have that.
Yes,
okay,
yes.
Gotcha.
So we were saying the same thing. Assist, alley-oop, whatever that might be. My question to you is this: did Boston College play well, or did Clemson just play bad?
I think Clemson just played bad. That's just what happened. They played bad. They didn't hit shots, and my feelings are hurt.
And Boston College, if you watch these Boston College games, if you could snuff them out early, they'll fold. But if you let them play and get a little confidence, that ball starts moving. They start playing with a little bit more energy. The big fella down there gets rolling. So I think those will happen tonight. Clemson had some really, really good looks early that just didn't go down. And Boston College, in front of all 30 Goodmans, started feeling good and started rolling,
Yep. And they turned the ball over way too much. Ian Shefflin had 4 turnovers in the first half. Chase Hunter, who is their point guard this year, had 5. PJ Hall, who's relied on to make a lot of decisions, goes 3 of 12 from the field, has 3 turnovers. And guys, you have games where you don't play well. Problem is, you need to have those games against the better teams, or else it looks bad. Like, you can have those bad games, but you better have them against good teams because, quite frankly, guys, every game in the ACC, there's not many quad 1s. So you better be bad in the quad 1 or the quad 2s because not a good look. I think this was either quad 3 or quad 4. Who knows? I'm not a net man. I'm not a net man. I don't get it. But it's still hard. It's still hard. You have to be good against bad teams in order to register yourself.
How much are you going to take into, consideration the fact that Brevin Galloway didn't play tonight?
Hey guys, look, he's a good. He not really. He's a good player, but he's a piece. Like let's call that what it is. He's a good player, but he's a piece. Chase Hunter needs to play well for you to be good. PJ Hall needs to play well for you to be good. Your big 3 are PJ Hall, Hunter Tyson, and Chase Hunter. Those are your 3 guys. If those guys don't play well, it's tough. And if they turn the ball over, it's tough. If they don't shoot the ball well, it's tough. as a team, you can't go 6 of 21 if you're a Clemson because it just closes the lane right up. So they didn't play well, and I'm hurt. But other than that, like it just, I'm rooting for them. But this is not a team that's overwhelming levels of Duke talent. Like there's not 4 first-round picks on this team. They have to play well, they have to shoot well, and they have to do the little things. And tonight they just didn't.
Next 2 games for them, Miami at home, at North Carolina. Do they need to, what do you think they need to do in February in order to continue,
I think they need to get one.
They got to get one?
I think out of those 2, they need to get one. And it's hard to win at Carolina. I think they've won one in history in Carolina. One.
Yeah, that's one person I think. Well, when I was there, they had never won, so like we had to like kind of highlight that a little bit because we didn't want to be the team. And even so now with Carolina playing a little better, and Clemson's kind of got the target on their backs now, which is a whole nother ball game in college basketball when it's not just it's your league leading Clemson Tigers coming to town. So that's just kind of part of their progression, being a team that every night, hey, Boston College got up a little bit for the guys tonight. I don't know if they're ready for that.
That's a very fair point. We've got much more hoops to talk about. T.O.'s actual favorite conference is the Big Ten Conference, believe it or not, despite the fact that he reps Clemson night in and night out. A lot more to come up here. Field of 68 After Dark, powered by Bet Rivers.
You're clear.
What else we got in the chat, Dig? And apparently it's hopping tonight.
Is it hopping?
Oh, yes, it is. Yes, it is. They loved your Reverend Galloway quote, by the way, as I'm sure most people would.
What, did he bust it nut the wrong way?
Yep.
That's what happened. Did you all see the video? Like, I'm not saying
that was
anything out of
crazy.
turn here.
He was funny
He was
in the video.
He was feeling that medicine post surgery.
Yes, you can say that. Our guy Smith in the chat wants to know if Maryland. I know we're going to talk about them here in the next block, so we'll get a little preview here. If Maryland can be a sleeper in the Big Ten this season, or play spoiler, I guess is also a good way to say it, since we all kind of think. I think we're all on the same page with Purdue, but he also has a little stat he threw in. Maryland's 15-2 when they score more than 21 points this season in the first half. Just think about that.
That's a fun little ESPN stat to throw out there.
Right.
Try to score more than 21 points in the first half.
That would.
How many games you John? You had to have some games where you had close to 21 in the first half yourself.
Sometimes it just we had a rule. We
30 seconds.
Score, so we had to run more. That's how we did it. We say the more we run, the more possessions we get, the more we can score. So we definitely had some high scoring games. But Maryland, I think personally, Maryland was a team I was on early, and they kind of faltered. So maybe they're kind of shoring things up. We kind of forgotten about them, but they look like they're trying to get back in the mix.
Hey, chicken pot pie.
Oh my God!
10 seconds.
There we go.
Chicken pot pie. Something can happen in the Big Ten. Doesn't matter.
Right.
There we go. 5, 4, 3.
Sirius XM Channel 84. Meghan McKeown, Terrence Oglesby, John Henson with you tonight. And now we get to talk about the Big Ten. And we're going to talk about Indiana, Maryland, because the Terps just pulled off a huge win at home over Indiana. In fact, this win was so big, they held Indiana to 55 points. John, you were talking about this in our break about how you think Maryland, you were on them early and you think they could still be pretty effective down the stretch in February.
Yeah, they are an older team. They kind of faltered at the beginning, but now they're picking it up a little bit. They've won 3 in a row. And, they whooped up on Wisconsin. They beat Nebraska, which is, pretty good too. And now they, kind of spanked on Indiana. So they're middle of the Big Ten right now. And we don't know what the Big Ten is or what's going to happen with that, because besides Purdue, I mean, we've got Illinois, who we thought was dead. They're number 2 in the league right now. So I have no idea what to think of this Big Ten. I mean, T.O., this is your favorite. Break it down.
Break it down, chicken pot pie. Let's hear it.
Chicken pot pie. 6 teams in the middle of that league with 5 losses. 6 with 5 losses. It's chicken pot pie. After Purdue, it's chicken pot pie all the way till about Ohio State. There's a bunch of guys that could make a run to play Purdue in the finals and get beat. Because Purdue's going to win that league. You want to pick Purdue or the field, go ahead and pick Purdue. I don't know what the odds are, Megan. I know we're sponsored by Bet Rivers.
You're a
I'm sure.
Guy. Yeah. What do you got? Yeah. There's got to be some number.
I want to say Purdue's probably going to be minus something. You're going to have to pay a little. You're going to have to probably pay a little money if you pick Purdue to win this league at this point in time, because it's not looking like anybody. I mean, 7-4 is your second place. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Night in, night out, man. It's wild. This Maryland team, though, to get back to it, they're interesting because they started out hot at the beginning of the year. They beat Illinois. And when that happened, everyone was like, oh my gosh, like they're completely clicking. And then, things happened as Big Ten play continued on. But for them to win 3 straight, I mean, Tio, we've talked about, chicken pot pie, but the Big Ten, like, it is so difficult to string together back-to-back wins, no matter which way you're going to slice it. How impressed have you been with them as of late?
The entire league?
No, with Maryland.
Oh,
I know you don't like the Big Ten. I wasn't going to make you say the entire league. Just Maryland. Impressed you. I know where you stand.
You know what? They've won 3 in a row. Their losses haven't been terrible losses in that league. I mean, at Rutgers, at Michigan, that one doesn't help. And they got their tail smacked against Michigan, which is a little shocking. But outside of that, I mean, they have guys that can score. They have guys that can create some things. Jameer Young was a really good addition, not only because he can score, but because he's from DeMatha and they're going to continue getting guys from DC just because of that. That was a huge pickup by Kevin Willard. Whenever you have a team that plays a certain style, the thing I love about Kevin Willard is he's going to put his guys in position to take advantage of what you guys do well. He's really good at that. He showed that while he was at Seton Hall. He has a certain type of guy he likes to recruit, big, long, strong athletes that are going to be able to defend, and have a couple guys that can create some things. Donta Scott's been good this year, and in large part because he thrust a lot of responsibility on him early. So it's one of those things. They have talent. They've had talent all year. It's just a matter of, are they going to be able to be consistent in their approach for the rest of the season? And the fact that it's Maryland and they're still kind of trying to find their way, I think they could be a tournament team. It's just that middle, you got to find a way to differentiate yourself a little bit. That's kind of the hard part about it.
You could not have sounded more skeptical when you said tournament team.
Question?
Heavy on the skepticism.
Maybe it's hard. I mean, it's
literally.
I'm skeptical because I don't understand the net.
Fair.
So
we got to figure out the net before we
made that disclosure earlier. Let's talk about Indiana for a second, because this is the team, first off, preseason favorite in the Big Ten. For them to go on the road as well as they've been playing as of late. Look, Trace Jackson Davis still at 18 points, 20 rebounds. I mean, he's been putting up insane numbers. If Zach Edey wasn't in the Big Ten, I think the conversation, we'd be talking about Trace Jackson Davis mostly with that, which is crazy to say. But what sticks out to me most tonight, Jalen Hood-Schifino goes 1 for 14 from the field. And that absolutely killed them, John. Yeah,
they need him to play well. Couple of previous games he did play really, especially at Illinois. He's played really well. And hats off to Trace Jackson Davis. He's like, look, I'm not letting this ship go down without a fight. I mean, he's been putting up some monster numbers, monster stat lines. And I watched him the other day, and it's almost like he's figuring out, like, all right, I'm a grown man, and I don't know if these dudes can guard me. And he's been playing like that. But when Hood-Schifino goes 1 for 14, they don't have enough pieces to overcome that. And that's what happened tonight.
It's not just him, too. I mean, like Tamar Bates, another guy. Maryland basically sat on their 3-point shooters, is what happened, and then doubled off of the non-shooters from Indiana when they did double. So Tamar Bates can't get loose. Hood-Schifino is being hassled all game long, and then Miller Kopp. I mean, he was fine. What did he end up? 3 for 7, 1 for 4 from 3. You got to have more people. You got to have more people contribute from the outside. If that happens, Indiana's good. If it doesn't happen, it's really hard for Trace Jackson Davis to carry you, because he's carrying you by scoring 2s.
Yep.
So that's kind of that's your hard part, is like, can you be an absolute dominant team if you're not shooting the ball well and your best player is only scoring 2s? And Purdue shoots it well. Yeah,
well, and Indiana's next game is Purdue, hosting them at home this weekend. So that's going to be huge. It's going to be a freaking blast of a matchup when you have Zach Edey going against Trace Jackson Davis. So that's going to be, if you like post players, that is the game for you. But keep in mind, Indiana hasn't had Xavier Johnson for quite a while now. And it seems that they were starting to get a groove without him. No word on when he's coming back yet, but this is still a team, in my opinion, that can make a run. This Purdue game is going to be very telling down the stretch, though, of where exactly Indiana is going to fit in as we get closer to tournament time. Northwestern, Iowa. Northwestern, this was a makeup game because of COVID. Iowa's going to pull away in this one. They end up winning by 16. Hey, is this Iowa team, finally the real deal? Are you convinced? Have they done enough offensively for you to say this is a tournament team, Tio?
They're fun to watch. I'll give Iowa that. They're fun to watch. They got to win more games. They lost to Eastern Illinois, and apparently that's bad for the net. That's going to be a reoccurring theme. The net is bad for the net. Hey, look, it's going to be a reoccurring theme. It's probably bad for the net. Loss at Nebraska, probably bad for the net. They started out 0-3 in conference.
Lost to Eastern Illinois.
Eastern Illinois, bad for the net. At Nebraska, bad for the net. No, offensively, it's a fun team to watch, guys. I mean, they fly up the court. They play freely. They move the basketball. It's a lot of fun to watch. But 13-8, like, I know they're 33rd in KenPom. They're probably like 8th in the net. So I think it's one of those things. Like, I have no idea. Do they look like a tournament team? They could be a 9-10 seed. I could see that. I could understand squeezing them in that 8-9 line and then playing well enough to, compete in the first game and then get blitzed by the number 1 seed overall. I could see that happening with Iowa, but I could see that happening with a lot. There's just no direction because the net's so confusing.
They're too inconsistent for me. I mean, you beat a team tonight by 16. That's pretty good. And then, you have these head scratching losses or games where you're just like, nobody understands what happened. So they're a team to keep an eye on, but they've got to be more consistent because they're kind of a team that down the stretch, they could falter and they could be out of it. That's how inconsistent they are to me. And so I'm not buying anything on Iowa right now. They've got to put some strings of games together where they at least are consistent in their play per se.
Keep in mind, this is an Iowa team. I mean, last year that did make a run in February into March and did have this, obviously fell out of the tournament kind of short, but that did go on to win the Big Ten tournament. Anytime you can score at the level they can, you give yourself a chance. You just got to defend.
I agree with that.
Nebraska, Illinois. Illinois, speaking of consistency, they've been really good down the stretch. Again, Tio, I'm going to phrase it to you this way. Is Illinois a top 4 seed in the NCAA tournament to you?
What's the net say?
I'm trying to ask them all net questions just to see what
my head's about to explode. I think that's important. Oh,
earpod down. Explode. A
hey,
pod
look,
fell out of his head.
Hey, earpod. Yeah, that's how hard I'm thinking. The earpods just pop out. Here's the thing I will say about Illinois. Like, they went through a little bit of a slump early in the season, but winning 7 out of your last 8, if there's a team in the Big Ten that's most adaptable to the NCAA tournament, I think their roster is. They've got guards, they got forwards, they have Dane Danger who can play off the bench and guard some of these aircraft carriers, not named Trace Jackson Davis. But they have several guys that fit and can be switchable and can get out and pressure on the perimeter and can create their own shots. So in theory, this Illinois team outside of Purdue, I feel like that's a team that could make a Sweet 16 or an Elite 8 run because of the makeup of the roster. The consistency prior to January 7th was up for question. Since January 7th, they've won 7 out of 8. So I think they've figured out a lot of things, and I got to find my AirPod. I'll let John talk.
Yeah, no, they've definitely figured out some things. From consistency, and everybody's playing better. When I saw them in the Garden, we were talking about them as like a potential top 10, top 5 team. So that's the kind of ceiling they have with the talent they have and who the players they have. And it looks like they're figuring it out. Now 7-4 is nothing to sneeze at, but they can keep going and get that record to look a little better. They're sitting at 2nd in the Big Ten. Better right under Purdue, which I think is head and shoulders the rest of the league. So I think you can't be mad at that as an Illinois fan or as coaches or players from how you kind of started off so bad. They're recovering.
They guard, man.
Yeah.
They guard. That's the big thing about them. They guard. And then when their shot makers are making shots, they're really tough to defend. When Terrence Shannon is creating things, they're really tough to defend. When Matthew Myers hitting shots from the perimeter, tough to defend. When Jaden Epps is doing things, tough to defend. But the consistent with them over the last 8 games is they have defended, except for when Trace Jackson Davis went absolutely bonkers. Outside of that, they've defended at a high level.
Right. Oh, she's muted.
She's muted.
Did Dagan mute me? He was like, stop talking. I don't want to hear about Illinois anymore. But I was going to give Brad Underwood some credit because he did adjust his offense headed into conference play. They're not playing the spread offense. He ran it at Stephen F. Austin. And you can see Illinois players are more inept to it because they're able to back cut easier. They're able to read each other, more read and react type of flow that they're getting. And it's been a recipe for success. That's our Big Ten segment, gentlemen, because we have a lot more coming up after the break. Stick around. Field of 68 After Dark, powered by Bet Rivers, returns.
Yeah, pie.
You're clear.
I don't think I meant to use the word inept. That was not the word dictionary.
Tio, I think we have a nice explanation in the chat for you about the net. From our buddy MC Lee. He says maybe if Clemson was better at finding the bottom of the net, they'd have a better net.
That's spicy. That's real spicy.
So just saying.
Or you could say, or Yuli Burstein who said net equals not even thinking, which also could be true.
Also true. Also, I want to make it very clear, I did not mute Megan's mic, although it would be very funny if I did, because I hear producer Trevor talking enough about Illinois. So, but yeah. So let me go back and find. Some questions. I think I heard someone earlier. Obviously, Texas Tech was a big talking point on our show last night, especially with Mr. Jeffrey Goodman's Twitter account. Do you think that they have any chance of making the tournament this year?
Who?
Texas Tech.
No.
Fair enough. Easy enough. Here's another one for you, Tio.
Unless tournament's coming to Texas Tech.
Here's another one for you.
You can't get to Lubbock anyway. There's no good way to get to Lubbock. I've already looked.
30 seconds.
One more for you, Tio. Do you still use wonderful Bart Torvik?
Yeah. You always pull out your Torvik. Yeah, you always pull out your Torvik on occasion. Always pull out your Torvik when needed.
And then last one quickly here. This one's for you, Megan.
10 seconds.
Ken Palm is a fraud. You never answered Providence or Xavier. Who you like tomorrow?
Are you
5
asking
seconds.
me?
Yes.
Providence or
There you go.
Xavier for tomorrow? I want to see what Xavier does. Sirius XM channel 84. John Henson, Terrence Oglesby, Meghan McKeown hanging out with you on this Tuesday night. Let's talk about some big news, and we've talked about it in our chat. We got Xavier Providence coming up, and Xavier Zach Freemantle is out for a month, which is a big blow to the Musketeers. But Tio, can you break it down for us? How exactly does this affect Xavier?
I think it's big, but they've had some guys off the bench that are playing a lot better. And Xavier's offense still really, really good. One, because they play so freaking fast. And Sean Miller's done a terrific job in year one, not turning around a program, but putting guys in position because he has a lot of the same guys, right? Freemantle hurts because he provides a lot of different things for you offensively. He can stretch it a little bit. He can really score in the post. He's one of those guys that he's kind of a lightning rod for you emotionally. And sometimes when guys are kind of into doldrums a little bit, you like that word, doldrums, just came out of nowhere. When guys are in the doldrums a little, now we can look it up later. But the guys are feeling bad. He's a guy that can, spark it up, kind of getting a little bit of a tussle with the other team. He did the whole zip them up thing earlier this season. He's a guy that can bring some energy for you. What I will say, though, Jerome Hunter has stepped in and played a role for that team at Xavier that is pretty remarkable. But I do think Fremantle's absence is going to hurt, especially when you have to find a way to guard Bryce Hopkins, who is an absolute beast and is so physically strong that he's going to get you in foul trouble. And the problem with missing one of your better players is Providence gets to the foul line better than anybody else in the Big East. Doesn't matter where they play. They still get to the foul line, even at the Centos Center. So the only thing that you're really going to be hurting is your potential depth. How is that going to work itself out? That's going to be tough.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a similar situation how Creighton, when they lost Kalkbrenner for a little bit, and they kind of had to figure out how to either play and they're going to have a tough stretch without him because he's kind of the rock down there, kind of a driving force, kind of the name that comes when you think about Xavier. So it's going to be tough for them. But if they can kind of beat the teams they're supposed to beat and compete, I think they'll be fine for a month. He'll be back, and it may affect their seeding, but I like where Xavier is at right now.
I mean, they've built a nice resume so far.
Mhm.
Even though, they've lost 2 of 4 down the stretch here. But I mean, look, the Big East, you talk about the Big 12, like the Big East, you got 4 teams there that are really strong, that nothing would really surprise you at the end of the day who comes out on top. But they play against Providence. This has been a hot topic that we've been asked tonight. Who you have tomorrow, Providence or Xavier? Tio, start with you.
I did say Xavier. I said that during the break, but that was mostly just to pick at Ken Palm as a fraud. I think it's going to be difficult. I think it's going to be difficult for Xavier to beat a Providence team that gets to the foul line so much. I think that game is won at the foul line. Are they going to be able to get to the foul line enough to bother Xavier's rotation? That's going to be a big one. All of that being said, the Cintas Center is insane. I think there's a way, though, that Providence wins that game.
I'm gonna go Providence too. You're missing one of your guys, one of your kind of linchpins of your lineup. And Providence is no slouch, and Providence is scrappy, and they need all the wins they can get. So I'm going Providence. Bryce Hopkins to have a great game.
I'm with you on Providence, just because Xavier, at times has struggled to defend. I mean, they're giving up 78 points a game right now. It's last in the Big East. It's going to be interesting to see, though, how they fare without Freemantle. So TBD on that one. Hey, we didn't get into the SEC. We got Texas A&M, Arkansas. Look.
Yo, hold on, Megan, I'm sorry. Bama beat the brakes off
We were going to get to Bama afterwards.
Oh.
Bama first.
We had to take Bama off. Didn't we take Bama off the rundown? We're going to talk about them next week, right? Like, what were we talking about?
I mean, they literally, dropped 101-44 the final over Vandy. They were pissed off.
Boy, pissed off. They felt pissed on after that loss at Oklahoma, and they got pissed off because of it. They go back home. Holy cow. How good is Alabama when they're pissed off? They need to be pissed off the rest of the season. Sorry, we can go back to the rest of it. It wasn't a game, so we can take it off.
Alabama, it wasn't. No, we were going to get to it, but you sound enthusiastic about it, and we want to channel that enthusiasm because you're down in the mud about Ken Palm and whatnot.
Now, Ken Palm's fine. Ken Palm's fine. The net.
Sorry.
The net.
Sorry. And you're not happy with Ken Palm as a fraud. That's who we're beefing with tonight.
Yeah.
Got to keep it all straight here. But for Bama to come out, that's exactly what you want to see, though. When you get punched in the mouth, you got to come back, and this is exactly what you have to do, right, John?
Yeah, and Vandy, for what it's worth, Vandy's been playing a lot of tougher teams, closer, home and away, and they haven't been going away. They've been pests. Shout out to my guy Jerry Stackhouse out there. And so for them, when I saw their score tonight, it was kind of shocking because Bama has been competitive for the most part. But Alabama just got the brakes beat off them, and Vanderbilt picked a bad night to go against the Crimson Tide. Didn't think they would lose by 50, but you know what? That's a sign of a really good team when they come out like that, motivated and putting that last game behind them and winning like that.
They held Vanderbilt to 3 of 30 from 3. And then inside the paint, they held them to 38%. And like that front line, that 3-4-5 of Brandon Miller, 6'9", 200 pounds, Charles Bediako, 7 foot, 230, Noah Clowney, 6'10", 210. Like there's so much length on the floor. And Miller and Clowney can guard out on the perimeter. And then you add in Mark Sears, who is quick as ever. And then Jaden Bradley, who guys forget, like that was the number 1 ranked point guard in the freshman class coming into this season. There is a lot of talent on that roster. There's a lot of length, and the emergence of Charles Bediako for this team, that he's one of the main reasons that they're 9-0 in the SEC, because Brandon Miller gets all the pub. Noah Clowney's starting to get some pub. Bediako's a guy that's sitting behind all those guys whenever they make some mistakes on the perimeter. He can be that shot eraser, a little bit like John Henson once was.
Yeah, I agree they're a tough team, and they're going to be. SEC is kind of like what's going on there. Tennessee number 2 now on the AP now? Are they second ranked team in the country now? I believe so. So it's going to be fun to see what happens down the stretch. I love Alabama. I love their length. I love their size. I love the freshmen they have. He'll be making a lot of money in 6 months. They're going to be a tough out overall. Definitely one of those teams you can see kind of being there at the end.
Yes, you have Tennessee second in the country, Alabama
Mhm.
fourth. Hey, I'll leave you guys with
Crazy.
this. When you talk about the SEC and what's going on there, who's the best team in the SEC right now, John?
I'm gonna go Tennessee. I've been a Tennessee guy since the beginning. I love how their top. I think they're number one team in adjusted defensive efficiency. Um, and overall, I think they're like number top 5 in whatever their favorite Ken Palm, whatever you call those rankings. So Tennessee's a team for me right now. And when Tennessee's hitting shots, they're really tough to beat. The only time Tennessee struggles is when they're always going to play good defense, but sometimes offensively they get a little stagnant. They miss a lot of shots. But if Tennessee gets rolling offensively, they're the best team in that Alabama Tennessee matchup. Like I want to see that really really bad, man. That'll be a fun game to sit around and watch. Kind of two big time programs, not a football game. Go at it.
Yeah.
So
Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
February 15th, that matchup, by the way.
Yeah. They're very good. Both teams are very good. I think the tempo that Alabama likes to play with could give Tennessee some trouble. But that all being said, if you can slow it down to a crawl, Tennessee is going to be able to win that game. It's a battle of pace with those two. Like Tennessee is right at 200 in tempo, adjusted tempo. Alabama's number 2. Like who can impose their will when it comes to, can we play fast? Do we need to slow it down? Slow it down going Tennessee, speed it up going Alabama. It's how you can manufacture some of those things.
And like we talked about, if you can defend, like you've got a shot to win any game just because you simply commit to that side of the ball. So that's going to be very interesting down the stretch. Gentlemen, great night as always, breaking down every conference across the board, talking in
Pac-12,
whatnot, all the things. Anytime anyone wants to check out some gear at fieldof68.shop, lots of gear on there for you. And yeah, any final thoughts from you two?
Alabama's back. They're feeling better. Alabama's back. Watch out for them. I mean, sometimes you just need a wake up call. Alabama's back.
Alabama's back. Quick from you, John.
Shout out Nigel Peck scoring 15 points or maybe 17 points in 5 minutes to carry Miami to a win. It was a tough game. Virginia Tech is really good. So that was my one observation for the night.
Shout out. That'll do it for us on Field of 68 After Dark. We'll talk to you a little later. Have a great night.
Nate, clear.
And now we are over on YouTube still talking with our after hours. I called it after dark afters. That's what it's called
The
now.
afters, the
Everyone made
afters.
fun of me for calling it
afties.
the afters.
The Afties with the Swifties.
Don't threaten me with a good time now. Dagan, what do you have for us in the chat?
I got our guy David Bentley,
There it is.
long-time viewer. Wants to know what's the one thing holding Tennessee back from being a Final Four team, or is there nothing?
They have what it takes. Ken Palm says so, right? I don't know about the net. Ken Palm says they have what it takes. For them, I think staying healthy and being competent offensively, which is easier said than done, they'll be right there at the end in the thick of things.
They need a guy that can score at the end of the game.
Right.
They need that guy. I think Julian Phillips is that guy, but he goes long stretches, and I'm talking games where he doesn't have a play run for him. Does he finish around the rim as good as you want him to? Not right now, and it has a lot to do with strength, but he has one of the best abilities in the country of getting fouled and getting to the free throw line. You need somebody to create looks in an isolation situation. Zakai Ziegler is 5'9". He can try really hard. He's still 5'9". Vescovy, I'm faster than he is right now. Like a couple of guys like on that roster, the only one that can really create something by himself is Julian Phillips. So, and he's not been featured whatsoever at all. And I feel like you're going to pay for it in March, what you could have worked on in November and December. And that's what could end up getting Tennessee. That all being said, they still guard at such a high rate. It's like it could happen anyway.
When you defend, you have a shot at the end of the day, no matter what it comes down to. Zakai Ziegler, I love him. He's one of my favorite players to watch because he is 5'9".
Oh, love him.
So
Love
damn
him.
crafty. Oh,
Love him.
what a treat he is to watch. So, even though he is 5'9", but I just think he has really high IQ, great motor, great feel for the game, excellent floor general. No, I love this Tennessee team.
He's a bowling ball with braids.
Right.
Like he is so fast, and I'm so jealous because
so
he has such
fast.
he's so and I'm so jealous because he has such a great head of hair, and like I just got nothing. But like he's a bowling ball with braids, and like he is such a competitive dude. He makes winning plays a lot throughout the game. But my only thing is 30 seconds to go, down one. Where can you get a good shot? Or not even a good shot? Because John, you know this. Megan, you know this. Like you have to get a shot or have to get a look. It's not going to be a great look when you're having to create something at the end of the clock, but you have to be able to get a shot. It's got to be somebody else. It's got to be Phillips. That's the guy that can do something for you.
You need a playmaker.
That's right. That's right.
What was that? All right, Dagan, what you got for us next?
Brewers fan 1212 wants to know if Marquette is going to win the Big East.
Oh,
I would. They got to be from Milwaukee, right?
I would imagine. Brewers fan 1212 seems to give that away.
Dead giveaway. It's a good question.
best offense in the country. It literally is, according to various metrics. Best offense in the country, and a similar defense to both Providence and Xavier. It's entirely possible that Shaka Smart, after being predicted to finish 9th in the Big East, it's entirely possible that they win the regular season. And that is saying something. Oso Ighodaro is a terrific player. Tyler Kolek's one of my favorite competitors in the country. Not even player. He's one of my favorite competitors in the country. And Omax Prosper's developed into a pro prospect. Cam Jones is still a bucket. Like, they've got weapons all over the place. It's just and they defend. That's the crazy part about it. Like, that's not the strong point of their team, but they're still defending well enough in that league to where it's going to keep them in ball games and let that offense win the games for them at the end.
I want no parts of Shaka Smart March. So Marquette's going to be there at the end. They could definitely win the Big East, and Shaka Smart with Shaka Smart underdog, Shaka Smart where you don't believe in him is a scary sight. He did it with VCU, and Marquette's kind of shaping up to be that team that people don't really talk about. You might see them get a 2 or 3 seed, and then all of a sudden it's a Sweet 16, and they're in there, they're playing, so they're really good.
Yeah, I'm with you. What you said about Tyler Kolek, T.O., like, he is just a freaking baller. He's a dog. He's going to go out and absolutely try to go for the jugular. Like, when you talk about competition, I think about that Xavier game. Even though they lost that game, he was so freaking good in that first half, especially. And then when Cam Jones is knocking down shots at a high rate, then Marquette, I think, becomes a really hard team to beat.
Yeah, I love competitive dudes, like guys that just make things happen because they just want to win more than you. Kolek fits that description.
What else, Dagan?
Cool. I have one comment before I get to the next question. Chat, there are over 220 people watching the show, only 40 likes. Come on, let's get that like total up a little bit here. Get those likes up.
If
we get to 100 likes, we will release T.O.'s highlight tape from tonight tomorrow on Twitter, because he's having an all-time night tonight. So
is it that bad? Is it that bad?
No. It's that good. It's that good, T.O.
All right, I'll take it.
I'm not going to go back and find the question. I lost the question I had. Oh, can Villanova, Big East contingent in the chat today, can Villanova play spoiler in the Big East tournament and knock off a top 4 team?
Yeah. Justin Moore, yeah, they can. Justin Moore was back a game. They started to look comfortable. They were posting guards again, right? Like, it seemed like that was an emphasis, and then they were cutting off the guards. It looked a little bit similar to what Villanova did last year. Whenever who they play last game, Dagan? because I watched them play. I just having a brain fart
They
about
played
the commercials.
Providence.
Okay, so they play Providence. They're posting guards. They have guys cutting off of it. I felt like that team kind of fell into the rhythm when Justin Moore was back, and he's still not. Like, you could tell him running up the floor, he's scared to pull the trigger. And it's like one of those things, like once he gets fully back, that Villanova team's going to beat some teams. They're going to have kind of I want to say the Florida State syndrome. Like they stunk in the non-con in the early season, and now they're going to be a really tough out because they're healthy.
Couldn't have said it better.
Nothing
No
to
Seton, no Seton Hall questions in the chat, Dagan?
Well, I've got
Good
my
to
own
see
Seton Hall
you.
questions, but I'll get yelled at by Dawson and Goodman if I talk about Seton Hall. So we'll just wait until they're more relevant.
But to that point, by the way, to go off of the Villanova train, their losses as of late have all been single digits. It's not like they're getting blown out by people.
Yeah. Good point.
Anything's possible in March, guys.
Yeah, that's right.
I
That's
mean,
right. And they have guys. They had 4 of their starters with Justin Moore back. 4 of their starters were in the Final Four last year. Like,
crazy. Don't you forget that? I forgot.
no, I haven't forgot. I haven't forgot.
just
No, it's been kind of nuts that they have performed in the manner that they have. They're 10-11. They made the Final Four with 4 or 5 starters back from a Final Four team. It's tough. It's tough.
It's hard.
Hey, different coaching.
Winning is
different
hard.
style.
Winning is hard. Winning is hard. And when you're 10-2 in a conference, you have to remember you have to leave the net out of this. Winning is hard. It doesn't matter by how much you win by. Winning is hard.
The net's not taking that into effect. Really not.
The net has no feelings, is what you're telling me.
No, we need to get you a T-shirt. I hate the net.
Yeah.
Put that on the site. Field of 68 site.
Yeah, we can work that out. We can get that.
Field of 68 dot shot.
We can sort that out very easily.
Yeah.
Here I got one from Will Sample. What does Nick Smith do to the ceiling for Arkansas? Almost forgot what team he played for there.
I don't think we're gonna have it. I don't think we're gonna see it.
Yeah. He's probably setting up agent visits right now in LA.
No, he's staying in Rich Paul's guest house right now.
Yeah, 100%. He's probably
He's getting
right
private
now.
message from Adele right now.
He's probably
Yeah,
a towel right now, like having a good meal, getting ready for the draft.
Yeah. Hopefully he comes back. I would doubt it.
Here's a good question, and I didn't ask it, so I'm allowed to ask it on the show. Ken Palmer's a fraud. Will Seton Hall finish the season with a higher net than Clemson?
Nobody knows.
Yeah.
Nobody knows. Nobody knows.
We need the
There's your
formula
answer.
first. Yeah, we need the formula first.
I say yes. Personally.
Yeah.
Oh my
Whatever.
Of course.
I have no idea.
Yuli wants to know what's Syracuse chances of making the tournament this year?
None now. I was riding. And that's a little dig right there. And I don't appreciate it because I tweeted out a couple of weeks ago that I thought Syracuse was going to be a tournament team. They would have beat Virginia. I thought they would still be in the hunt. And I thought because they were continuing to get better, and they have a really young team. Like 5 rotation players are freshmen. Like I thought they were going to continue to get better. They just have lost some close ones. They're NIT bound.
Yeah.
No, what do you think, John?
The window's closed. They had a window to kind of win some games and kind of make a little noise. And they played Carolina close. They played UVL really well. Just couldn't get over that hump.
Yeah, tough.
I mean, they would have to win out here on out.
Like every game.
Like every
And
game.
not all that many quad 1 opportunities according to the net.
That is true. Can a Pac-12 team make the Final Four?
Absolutely.
If so, who?
Sorry, I'm taking all these questions. I need to shut up, let John
No,
and Megan
no.
talk. I'm just
Have
getting
at
fired
'em.
up. Y'all go ahead. Go.
No, I mean, yeah, UCLA, Arizona. I mean, those are 2 teams. We don't get to watch them a lot because we're on the East Coast, but those are 2 really good teams that can make some noise. And usually Arizona makes noise in the tournament. Then people are like, oh, who are these guys? But Arizona's one of the teams. Arizona, UCLA, they are definitely capable in the Pac-12. Now, anybody else? No, sir.
No, I'm with you. I think UCLA has a shot at making a run just based off of what you saw, especially early on in the season. Some of those wins they were going to pull out down the stretch. I'm a UCLA fan personally. I like Arizona. Those are going to be your 2 best shots. Who knows? I don't know. Tio, what you got?
I think UCLA and Arizona, and it depends on the mood of Headband Kerr. Field of 68 shot. Get your
Oh.
T-shirt.
The man.
Nice, good plug.
Yeah, you like that?
Well
No, if I had to pick, I would say UCLA. And I understand Arizona's going to be hard to guard, especially for a lot of mid to low majors where people stub their toe and lose a game. Like they play fast and they're huge. You typically don't have those two together. And if they're able to be good, Kylan Boswell's been coming along. I think I love that kid coming out of high school. But that's a team with a lot of talent. I just feel like UCLA, if I had to pick between the two, Shotmaker and Jaime Jaquez, Dembona has been awesome. Tiger Campbell is like the unsung hero of that team. He's Mr. Solid, Mr. Dependable for whatever they do. And Amari Bailey brings elite athleticism. Jalen Clark's great on D. Like they have pieces. I'm a big puzzle piece guy. They have a lot of puzzle pieces. That's the reason I like UCLA.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about Arizona for a second too, by the way, like what they did in Maui earlier this year. I think everyone was like, oh my God, this is the Final Four team just based off of how they were there.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Cool. Next one. Can Michigan salvage their season, and why is the answer no?
Yeah, Michigan. That's another team that had a window to kind of pick up some big wins, and they didn't do it. There was a few games where we thought they were going to play well. They didn't. Now they're sitting towards the bottom. I don't know what a salvage would be for them. What would a salvage be for them? Like,
NIT.
You gotta win out.
Not in the CBI.
Yeah. So they'll be NIT. I mean, they'll be NIT now. They'll be hanging out.
Not a whole
Syracuse.
Yeah, that's right. They'll be hanging out with Syracuse.
In the Garden. That'll be a good game.
Yeah, what a good game.
Yeah.
They've been so inconsistent this year. I think it's the biggest issue. And I don't think Hunter Dickinson has had the year we all thought he was going to have. They dealt with injuries as well, and that has not helped by any means. But like I'm taking a look down the stretch, like they got Northwestern next. I don't know if that's a game they beat them earlier on the season. That could be. We'll see how that goes. Just because I don't know how Northwestern's going to get against Hunter Dickinson. But yeah, I mean, well, this league's tough. You got Indiana, Trace Jackson Davis. How are you going to defend them? Illinois is playing at a high level right now. Rutgers playing at a high level. I don't see it.
What you're saying is it could get ugly. It could get ugly.
Can I defend Hunter Dickinson for a minute?
Have at it. I don't think anyone was coming at him though.
Yeah, I think people were a little bit like not this group, but I feel like he's catching some flack that's undeserved. And you look at what he did his freshman year, he had like a veteran laden team around him that all could really shoot it.
Yeah.
And this year you got Jet Howard, who very good player, very good player, one trick pony. He's scoring. It's what he's doing. Not doing much out. He's had a couple like 30-point games and like one board. Like so he's been good shooting the ball. Outside of him, Joey Baker's shooting 40%, but they've played 21 games. He's hit 23 threes. Like, is that really an issue if you're an opposing team? Like, I'm not really worried about it if he's only hitting one a game. Like, you got to have some explosiveness to you. And that team put together doesn't really fit around Hunter Dickinson very well. I think, and compound the fact that he's still averaging absurd numbers, even with the team around him that doesn't necessarily shoot the ball all that well. I think he's still been good, and he's still been fairly consistent outside of a couple of no-shows against like North Carolina and some other bigger schools.
That's a good point too, because if you don't have the right people around you, and I think at the beginning of the year too, he was trying to do too much just because he didn't have those pieces around him. But no, that's a fair point to defend.
Yeah,
he's not a very good pass out of double teams. He's not a very good guy. So when the ball does come to him, it's kind of tough. Or when he gets double teamed, it kind of is tough. He doesn't necessarily find guys like he should, and I think that's kind of been his downfall, or not his downfall. Just that's what they struggle with. Him getting the ball out in a timely, rhythmic manner out of the post.
All right, I'll give you guys one more, and then we'll get to toast. Also, want to remind the chat: 100 likes. Teal highlight tape coming out tomorrow.
What are we at?
We're at 60.
Wow.
You got until the end of the show, to the end of toast. You have one.
We got
question.
208 people watching. We can't hit the like button.
I know.
Come on,
60
guys.
likes.
What are we doing
It's a shame, but we've been doing predictions all night.
Text my mom. I know she's watching. Tell her hit the like button.
We've been talking Xavier Providence. They want to know your predictions for Purdue, Indiana this weekend. This will be the last one. We'll go right into toast after this. Since we know how big of a Big Ten show we love this to be, especially when T.O.'s on.
Hey, Rob Finney hit a big one last year in Bloomington. Just saying.
Are we giving our Purdue, Indiana pick?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'm gonna go Purdue. They're rolling. I don't see what Indiana's gonna do with Edie. I'm sure they're gonna have probably Trace Jackson Davis try to go one-on-one early. And that doesn't really ever go well, especially when he gets in a rhythm down there. Purdue is even tougher to beat. So I hope Indiana brings a double fast. If not, you could get Trace Jackson Davis in foul trouble, and then it's a wrap. Cancel Christmas. So I'm going Purdue.
Cancel Christmas. I like that. The only thing is I rivalry games, man.
Yeah.
Like that can just throw a wrench into everything. Even in recent years where Carolina was bad, they still found a way to beat Duke. And like rivalry games just kind of throw caution to the wind. Like anything could happen. You saw last year, Purdue, I think, was number 4, and Rob Finney hit a 3 as time expired to win by 3. And they're going to be able to compete.
A long time they beat Purdue, by the way, last year.
Yeah, I know. I'm just throwing that into consideration, but I think Purdue wins.
I'm also going to go Purdue just based off of the fact that Indiana has shown some inconsistencies this time. As good as they've been as of late, they're still, to me, not the most consistent group out there. Purdue is in such a great rhythm right now, and you have 7-4 on your team, even though you have Trace Jackson Davis. Point Zach Edey to me. So that one's going to be very interesting to watch. Dagan, anything else?
Nope, that is it. Toast of the night.
Toast of the night. John, you want to start?
Yeah, I gave my toast earlier. I'm going to say it again. Nigel Peck, he scored 17 points in 5 minutes. All 17 of his points, he put them up by 8 points. He hit 3 threes in a row. My toast of the night, because it looked like Virginia Tech was about to walk Miami down in the 305.
Toast of the night for me, I think I'm going to go to Norman, Oklahoma, the entire city, because all it took was the Alabama basketball team to make a visit, and then they beat Vanderbilt by 100. So toasting to Norman, Oklahoma, and Alabama basketball. There you go.
I'm going to give my toast to Maryland. That was a big win tonight over Indiana at home. I like to see the Terps doing well. It's a great atmosphere, by the way, if you get to the Xfinity Center ever. So cheers to the Terps.
Wild fans out there, by the way.
Mm-hmm. All right. That's
cheers to the Cintas Center tomorrow.
Oh, there you go.
We also have an honorary toast in the chat to Boston College. Sorry, T.O., but the chat wanted it. So toast to Boston College.
If the chat wants it, the chat will get it.
I'm not participating.
All right.
No, good for Old Grant. I thought they would be better this year, but they perform well at times. I thought they would kind of move in the right direction. But I like Earl. I think he's a really good coach.
Well, hey, it's going to do it for us. Field of 68 After Dark. We will see you next time right here on YouTube, Sirius XM Channel 84.